What's going on, family? Welcome to another segment of Bbq Talk Podcast. Tonight is Crown Fabled Author. Crown Fabled Author. I apologize. So, we all can make mistakes, right? So tonight we have Crown Fabled Author, and we will be presenting a Black children's book author who has amazing material. I actually had the pleasure of actually reading over one of her books. And when I say amazing, I mean amazing. If you're looking for a children's book for anybody in your family or for anybody else's kid, maybe, you know what I mean? I definitely recommend her books. I definitely do. I only read one, but I know from that one, the rest of the books have to be amazing, right? So welcome in. Kim, welcome in. Welcome in. Mula McJula, welcome in. I want to thank you for existing, adding value to the world, as well as alive in the podcast. So tonight again is Crown Fabled Author. You definitely want to stick around and get to know her, meet her, and hear why she became an author, right? What impact does she have as an author? You know, all of these things. It's amazing. So again, this month is all about celebrating those that are actually making history right now in the present day time. Those that are actually impacting the culture, helping to shift and change the culture and push the culture forward in a very natural way. Natural Baby T, welcome in. Welcome in. I want to thank you for existing, adding value to the world, as well as alive in the podcast as well to you. So, so her name, I'm going to let her introduce herself, even though I know everybody sees it. I'm going to let her introduce herself when she comes in. And so we can, so she can talk to you all, right? Because you came here for her. You didn't come here for me. Let's just be honest. You came here to meet the Crown Fabled Author, which is amazing. I love anybody who's an author, especially a children's books author who has like a real impact and real meaning behind their work. Hey, welcome in.
Hi.
All right. So I want to start off by saying thank you for existing and adding value to the world. Welcome in. Thank you.
Did y'all hear that? Thank you for existing and adding value to the world. How do you not feel just welcome to life again when you hear something like that?
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That is beautiful. Do you say that to everybody? If you do, that is awesome.
Yeah. Yes, no, I do. I do. I like to make everybody feel welcome. It's something that I felt was missing in the world because, you know, a lot of us aren't thanked for just existing. Yes. And we all add value to the world. You know, some choose to add positive or negative. So that's all the way up to you. So if you don't mind, do you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Yes, no problem. Hello, everyone. My name is Dahlia Deering. I am the author and owner of Fawn Fables. This is a children's book company that I have started that is centered around 3 core principles. It is 1, to teach children to love and accept themselves for who they are, to celebrate their differences together, and to enhance their critical thinking skills. I am really big on trying to get our children to love themselves, love what's different about them, celebrate that so that we can, again, eradicate them having issues within themselves, but also get rid of bullying, because bullying tends to be someone who sees somebody else as different, and either they don't love themselves or they think that they're better than that person. So I feel like if we can attack at a young age when their minds are moldable, that every difference makes someone unique, and it's beautiful, and I know we hear that, but if we teach their minds to do that at a young age and we model that behavior, we can eradicate some of that. So I'm hoping to do that through my books. So that is who I am.
That's amazing. That's probably like the best introduction ever on the Bbq Talk Podcast. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I definitely like what you're doing. I have this song, and it's not like the most politically correct song in the world, but I just love the title. It's called Save the Children, right? And it's spelled Trill Rend, and it's by Nick Grant, right? And pretty much the whole thing about it is the reason why he spelled it that way is he's talking about cultural children, because a lot of times they're exposed to a lot of like adult things, adult lifestyles, behaviors, talk, and all of this very early, especially in our culture set. So I was exposed to that very early, but at the same time, I know my mom did a very good job of trying to balance it all.
Yes.
And she would let me know, you don't repeat anything you hear. You're a child, right? So I was like, okay, cool. But then she allowed me to surround myself with childlike things. So Space Jam was really good, cartoons, books, and all of that, right? So I always had like this childhood atmosphere, but I knew the adult side was there, especially being the only child. A lot of times, if I was silent enough, I disappeared and I was invisible to everybody. But at the same time, my mom was like, there's nothing wrong with being truthful. You just have to know how to do it. And I also got in trouble for being a little too honest at times when I was a little kid. As I got older, it became a little bit better because then you're older with it. But you actually sent me something to read, which was amazing.
You did that? I'm so glad you loved it.
Yeah, I love it. You know why I like it? Because at the end you have questions.
Yes, all the books.
All of the books. And I figured that. I was like, she did it for one book. She had to do it for all of the books, right? And that one, yeah, and those are amazing. So I want to ask you a question. What made you want to write children's books?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to keep this brief because I get excited about One of the biggest things is I wanted to heal the little girl in me. That was why I started to write children's books. Because I was not in a great space in my life prior to this. And I realized the root of my issue was that the little girl in me had a broken heart. And it was still broken. But I was functioning with it. I had learned to survive with it. Learned to hold other people accountable for that.
True.
And so I was introduced to a book called Think and Grow Rich. I started reading that, and that changed my life. I joined a mastermind. There's just a lot of things that, and then once that happened, and I've always been a writer, that's what helped me get to the root of that. The little girl in me, her heart was broken, and I thought to myself, I'm going to write books to heal her. I'm going to write books to her. I'm going to do my best to encourage her. And then I had a feeling and this need to publish. So I published the book because I thought to myself, if this heals a little girl in me, what if I was able to prevent other little hearts from being broken to this degree? That doesn't mean they're not going to go through hard times, but we become what we think about. And a lot of mind now and who we develop happens at such a very young age. So if I could put out literature and if I could be a part of the development of a little mind and understanding that they could overcome the outside things that happen to them, they'll have heartbreaks, but they won't stick. That's kind of what my thought process is behind that. So I went forward with the dream, and just as I was hoping, the more I've let adults read my stuff, because of course I was still very insecure, a lot of the adults also shared with the little person in me. And so a lot of my fans are children, but there also are adults. I have plenty of adults that don't have kids that buy my book.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what? I love for some reason it's like this divine intervention thing that happens with me. I reach out, I see what somebody's doing, and I'm like, okay, cool. Because this week was all about celebrating Black women that are making history right now, that are all doing progressive, amazing things in the world. Which you're definitely one of those women. You know, you're a part of one of those women, and it's amazing. So we should always give everybody their flowers while they're here. Indica Badu was on. Appreciate you for being here. So it's amazing. It's amazing, and I love it because you're not only speaking to children, but you may actually be helping somebody else heal from their childhood trauma, whether they have kids or not. And now it's like this parent-child bond, but then it's also maybe a self-child bond, like where you're bonding with the inner child in you that maybe not probably wish these type of books were out, right?
Yes. And I'm kissing at the comments. I don't know what type of followers and I have them. Oh my gosh, they are so uplifting in this chat. And this is the type of people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
Oh, you're so beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this podcast is all based around having healthy, constructive, intellectual conversation paired with food for thought. With a tall glass of real. Sometimes it gets a little, it depending on the subject, the topic, and things of that nature. But everybody usually keeps it at a very loving place, even when we're disagreeing. It only gets out of hand like every once in a while. Maybe like a couple months ago, you had a few out of wild moments, but it wasn't like too bad because I try to control it as best as possible. But yeah, they're amazing. I can say that. And this whole month, everybody's been amazing. We're going through all the adjustments and shifts, not just this month, but just the whole time I've started this podcast. So it's definitely amazing. I love the women that are in here. I love the men that come in here and share and things of that nature. So the thing I want to ask you about the book that you sent me, the book that you sent me was amazing because it was about a lumberjack who was chopping down a tree, and it was a really big tree, right? And it wasn't able to get put down. Like they weren't able to actually chop this tree down, and a lot of people got disgruntled, and they just walked away. They quit. They were like, "No, I'm good." But then there was this one lumberjack that stayed, and he just knew, "I'm gonna get this tree down eventually." You just got to keep going, right? What inspired you? Besides, for me, what I feel like is kind of like the obvious, but I want you to put it out there for anybody that doesn't know this book. What inspired you to write that particular book?
So historically, background is management, and
Sure.
I've learned when managing big teams and managing people that I'm managing people, living, breathing
Sure.
entities that have different but are still coming to work together every day.
Sure.
So I learned that me being the boss was the bottom line and not my opening statement.
Sure.
What it means is when people come in to work for me, they're not always going to be with my job on their mindset. They have a lot of things going on. So I had to get to a point where I would have disagreements with my staff, and instead of saying, "I'm writing you up" or "I'm doing this," I would have those days where I'd let them have their act out, and I was still gracious to them and loving. Come to me at the end and say, "You're not firing me. I was terrible today," and they'd apologize and everything else. And I would say to them, "I will do everything that I can to protect you and keep you working with me as long as you will continue to do what you're doing, which is admit when you're wrong, give me the best you can on that day. And I'm doing that because I think you are worth the wood." And they would ask me, "Why would you say that?" I was like, because when you chop a tree down, you don't want to spend all day chopping at a tree that's going to give you 2 minutes of heat. That doesn't do anything for anybody. Spend half of your life, if you can get from that tree, warmth for you, your grandkids, your kids after that. If that's what that tree is going to provide, you're going to do everything to chop down that tree because it is worth the wood. So when I look at you, even today on your not best day, I still see that you are worth the wood. So today you didn't have a great day. I wasn't happy with you, but I could tell that you didn't need me coming and pointing out that you weren't your best you. You knew that when you walked in here. That wasn't going to help. But the fact that I stayed me, the fact that I loved you, even though you have a lot going on, you still found a way to come to me and say, "Dang, I deserved to have been, but you didn't." And I think that you recognize that. So, and because of that, people who have worked for me years ago still reach out to me, still consider me a mentor, still tell me all the time. I've never worked with somebody who invested in me, who wanted the best for me. And because of that, that's why I always work the best for you. I've always had the best results out of any team I've ever had because of that factor. So I took that principle. I know it was a long response, but I took that principle and I wanted to apply that to a book because I want so many more people and children to be worth the wood. There's so many people who underneath me credit for everything, but their work ethic shifted, how they saw the world shifted, how they saw themselves shifted, and I was a part of that because I was the first person that introduced them to the concept that they were worth the wood. So that's what made me write that book.
Worth the wood. You know what? And I was wondering, I was like, was like, I didn't know what the title meant. I just knew it was a good title. I was like, that's a good title. And I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it and I'm like, all right, that's amazing. And you know, as I got done with the first part, I was like, oh, that was just like an introduction to the book. I was like, all right, cool. And then you have the statue out there, and it's amazing. You know what it reminded me of? And I'll be 100% honest with you. It reminded me of an updated version, and less like, because when I first heard the story, read the story, even seen it on, I was a little bit like devastated because I didn't want it to end like that. But it reminded me of John Henry.
Ah.
Like, to an extent, like
even think about him, but I get, you are so right.
Just a little bit.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
And I love it because it's a more up-to-date, kid-friendly version. Because the real John Henry didn't end too well at all.
In my book now, you will get your flowers at the end of my book. Our culture's gonna get our flowers at the end of every book I have. Know that. That's
good.
We celebrated today.
True. Yeah, no, it's good because it lets you know that your hard work is going to give you, you know, you're going to reap the benefits from your hard work, and to stay persistent and consistent in what you're doing, and make sure, you know, like you said, it's worth the wood and you're worth the wood. And I like that. I wish you could have been my manager. What business do you have right now? I couldn't work for you right now. It's amazing.
Right now, I'm a one-person shop. I'm a small. This is doing. The other dream that I'm working for somebody else's, but it helps me with what I'm doing, so it's cool.
Okay, no, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, with you being a children's book author, like, how's the response when you meet kids with these books?
So, it has been phenomenal, and I want you guys to know I have been terrified of children.
Really?
Because they are the most honest. They are themselves unapologetically. They don't have a reason not to be. And because my genre of children is so young, they are at the biggest honest they ever can be. So trying to the biggest honest they ever can be, that was terrible. But trying to get them to sit, to listen, that kind of thing, you have to have a real skill. So I have been so pleased that the books that I've written so far, I have been able to hold their attention. I've been able to sit down and say, oh, I like that book. Like, if you start reading Worth the Wood, it's amazing. And I've seen it done on videos. Parents do it. I've got a few. If you start reading Worth the Wood out loud and the kid is doing something else, by page 2, kind of walk over. See what it is, and that is the biggest accolade I think I can ever receive. I'm sure things will happen and I'll get better, you know, awards and things, but the biggest award that I can ever receive is when I see children interested, liking the book. And when you hear them respond to the questions at the back, so I know that the message has seeped in, it is, I can't tell you. If you're not a children's book author, but you want to be, and you really want to get your message out there, there are so many moments that are going to make your life worthwhile. But the biggest one is going to be when your target audience gets your message and you can see it make a difference for them. There's no money that can buy that. So that is kind of what really inspires me, and what the response has been when I'm dealing with kids. It's been really great.
True. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I can't get over how well the book was written, but also how like short it was. Because kids have a shorter attention span, and so do we as adults. But at the same time, I always feel like if you have a short book, people want to read it. Yeah. Even adult books. Like, that's why I like the book, and I think I have it right here. Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, Out of the Maze. I love this book. I loved it when I read it because I got through it so fast. Welcome in, V. Welcome in, Shorty Rock. But yeah, it was an amazing short book. It's like and it got to the point, and there were so many messages within the book, between the lines and everything. It was amazing. So I like it. And I like that you have questions at the end, because now parents can go, so now what do you think? You know what I mean? And you have 5 questions, and it's amazing. I was sitting there looking at the questions like, huh, I was like answering the questions. I was like, no, yes. And I had longer responses. It's amazing though. I like it. It's like more of an interactive book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my next question for you is how important is it for you to be not only just a woman who writes books and who is an author, but being a Black author for the culture?
Oh man. I think it is super important just because a lot of the principles that I'm trying to teach, critical thinking skills,
Mm-hmm.
self-love and self-acceptance, celebrating our differences together. Those are things that I want all children across the world to know, but I need my community to understand. I feel like our children grow up proving themselves the moment that they realize that there is a standard or society has a way that they feel like they are supposed to act. So they are on this journey to prove themselves instantly. And I want to try to stop that. I don't want them proving themselves. I want them to like become who they are. I want them pruning themselves. I want them trying to figure out what, based on my talents that I have, can I contribute and why? What are some things about society that I want to change versus conform to? That is super important to me. And so it is important that I am a Black female author doing this because number one, when I am speaking to my culture, I already have their attention because they know I understand. They know that I come from where they come from. It's important that I'm a woman because not saying that men don't, but that for me that natural love and maternal feeling, even though I'm not a mom, but that natural love that I have, it starts to flow through to them in a caring way. So I think that that combination is super important, and that passion, that desire, I can do that without having to mask it under masculinity. Not saying Black, we have our own struggles. So I'm not saying we don't.
Thanks.
You have another layer. I won't say extra, but another layer that you have. So when you guys try to speak to each other, there's that layer. When you guys try to teach each other, there's that layer. Because you need him not to be, he can be soft, but he can't be too. I don't have, I get past right straight to that as a Black woman and speak directly to them, allow them to show me who they are. So me being a Black woman for our culture, writing books like this is super important and imperative as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, it did. It did. I love it. I love it. You hit all good points. So you stated critical thinking because you're not the first person, especially not the first woman who has talked about it. There's been men that said it as well, but I hear it more from the women's side about critical thinking and how imperative do you feel is for not just our culture but everybody's children's culture to have that skill set.
Because just like and I mean there's been so many authors that say it, but in the miseducation of the Negroes where it stuck out to me the most, if you can control a man's mind, you can control his actions. Do you see what I'm saying? If you can control their thoughts, we can control what they do. We become what we think about. Our prisons that we create for each other, our limitations are all created up here. So if I can help you understand the importance of thinking and controlling your own mind, I'm giving you keys to the rest of the world for the rest of your life. That is what I do. If I can get in there. But I tell you, it is harder for me to get into your mind as a grown man with the experience that you have had than it is for me to get into a baby's mind, experiences that they've had. So I'm trying to start at the source. I'm trying to get the point. And I always do these books, but I put the at the end because I want to give those keys to the parents. My goal is not only for parents to read a book and stuff a thought down the child's mind. I want to read the book and then I want the questions in the back to start a conversation about what they got from it. And now your morals and your foundation as a parent, use that to lead that,
Mm,
to navigate that thought, to push that daily in what they're doing. That's what my goal is and what I'm trying to do behind my books when I write.
true. I love that. I love that. And I feel like that's a good bonding and learning moment for both the kids and the parents, even for uncles, aunts, or whoever's doing it, right?
I'm
I,
a kid, so I am a professional auntie. Okay, so yeah.
no, I understand. Hey, all right, keep going. Thank you. Thank you for that, Mo. She was on as well. I can't wait to actually get everybody's episodes dropped on the podcast platform. I can't wait. I'm working on it every day. I have so much material, and I had to ask myself. I was like, am I backed up, or do I just have to find the right opportune times to place them in? And I was like, let me just find the right opportune time to place them all in. And then when they see it pop back up, everybody be back excited, right? And it's amazing. It's amazing. So, and this week I have a go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's a part of being an artist and being passionate about your craft. When you're doing something, we may not be able to put it into words, but we know when something is not. We don't want to just stick something up there. It just doesn't fit. We know the difference, and so I definitely respect the fact that you have that relationship with us as your guests, but with your platform. I love the fact that it has to feel right, and you're trying to figure that out. I appreciate that. So I think that whenever you do it and however you do it, it's going to be the way it reflects you, and it's going to say to the world what you want it to say. So take your time.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. You're such a kind person. Like, listen, you feel like somebody in my family right now. Like now I feel like a kid right now, sitting here taking this compliment and these jewels that you're dropping on me, and I appreciate that. That's reconfirming, and very loving at the same time. I appreciate you. You're such an amazing soul. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. This is gonna be this is like really kind of like on the same course, but off the course a little bit. Is that have you heard anything about NFTs?
I have.
You have, right? Are you in the process of getting some NFTs out there, attaching some of your work to it?
In the process of a lot of big things, but I will say this: it's not something that stay tuned, it's coming tomorrow. No, because like we just discussed, I want to know more. I want to feel more. I want to feel more comfortable with it. But there is a meta. I do have a metaverse vision for my company and for myself.
Okay.
NFTs, that's the whole just the whole space. There's so many different things. So I have some people that I've got some groups that I'm joining, some connections that are helping me set up. But more than anything, I'm not just jumping into anything and doing it. I'm doing a lot of research so that I can make sure that my message isn't tainted, that I'm doing it for the right cause, and it turns out the way I want it to turn out. But yes, I'm very interested in that arena, especially.
True. No, I think it just when I seen that you had children's book, I was like, oh, that's amazing because somebody stated to me about the NFT thing when I found out about they were like intellectual property, right?
Yes.
First time I heard it was from 19 Keys. He's like
yeah. So you're on it. You are on it, sir.
Thanks. He was like, man, these intellectual properties are gonna be nice. He was like, you could definitely do that. And somebody told me they were like outside of him. She was like, listen, you gotta realize that right now everybody's like really hyped up about it. There's a lot of these characters and things of that nature. As it starts progressing and now it's not really a trend or a wave anymore. A lot of those people are going to trickle down, but also at the same time, older people are going to start figuring out about it and finding it, and they're going to get into it, and they're not going to be buying into the same thing that everybody else is. So when I thought about that, it made me think about my podcast. It made me think about books. It made me think about like training courses and things of that nature. And I was like, those people are going to really have a lot of things to attach to it because it's going to be more of an actual investment and asset for them. So I like that you're into it as well. Because I told anybody that's an owner that has anything, I was like, this is the time that you want to start learning about those things.
Yes. And I would say there's no investment like investment in your knowledge and in learning, because I'm big on thinking. That's clearly my message. So I really, really think that if you can learn about anything before you decide whether something's good or that's this or investigate. You don't have to be a forensic scientist about it, but investigate. Be knowledgeable so that you can have a conversation confidently on the subject. So I definitely think that is something that we should be looking into. But I will say this world is moving towards the virtual arena, whether we like it or not. That is where it's going. That is what is happening. So being aware of options to me is phenomenal. And being able to, like you said, own your intellectual property outright, that is changing the game. That is going to change the game. Oh my gosh. So when I looked, that's why I'm so excited about it. I won't say, too much, but I love what the concept is. So even if it's a trend, don't get me wrong, there are still ways to make things that are trendy permanent for yourself and still relevant for you if you remove yourself from looking at it as just a trend and it becomes your craft, if it becomes a part of your passion, if you learn it right. So I don't mind it being a trend or not catching on all that, because at the end of the day, I would be looking at it from the beginning for permanent properties. If I can't see permanence, if I can't make it real for me, then it won't be an investment. That's just how I look at it.
So, true. No, I agree. So how imperative do you think it is for us as a culture to be able to get involved in these things and even have our kids starting to learn how to be like, how to get into them, not for like just frivolous fun, but for actual like, hey, like this is something that you can start doing right now and learning for fun and doing like some fun things, and you're still learning, but then you'll get older and now you'll have like this technical skill set.
Yeah. So here's my thought overall on that. One of my personal philosophy is that we must live with an intention of legacy. That's what I call legacy. Everything that you do needs to be for the betterment of other people. Only reason I have accepted that as a need is because physically, if you were born and set in the same spot until you died, you would come from dirt, you'd come from someone else, and your body would decay to the dirt and still feed someone else. You have no choice but to be a part of the circle of life anyway. Why not live intentionally as a part of that? Why not live intentionally with making a difference and being greater? Okay? Now, I'm saying that to say how that ties into what you're saying. If you see where the world is heading, if you see that there are skills that you know that you lack in, you have to learn and keep up with, but everybody else is going away, then it is important that you teach your offspring, your legacy, how to now make that a part of their daily activity, because you need to make sure they understand how to not only survive and keep up, but how to lead. We are not raising people to be able to keep up. That's what our parents did. We are raising leaders. So if this is the way that the industry is going, then you will do this and you will do it well. Now, if you choose that you don't want to do it afterwards, I don't care, but I taught you. So at any point, if you decide to go back to it, you'll be able to run circles around people who are trying to figure out what the manual says. This is how I believe parenting. So yes, I do believe if you see it's technology, if you see it's cooking, or if you see it's anything that the world is getting ready to be in a place that you don't think they should live without, involve your offspring. Now, you do it at their level. You don't make it uncomfortable for them and force them, but you find out what is the way to make this more entertaining for their mind where they can handle it, and you make sure they're involved in that.
True.
Though, you leading by example. You cannot be a parent that tells a child to wear a seatbelt and you never have one on. That's never going to work. You're going to teach them that only children wear seatbelts, and the reward is to become grown and not wear one. Do you see the difference? You need to make sure that anything that you see, if technology is something that you feel like the world is going in a way towards, yes, you teach them that. You put them, in the technology space, but you're going to have to get your behind in front of some tech too. You're going to have to get uncomfortable as well. You don't have to stare at the computer for a few times and turn it off and turn it back on. You're going to have to do things that show them that even if you are failing at that, you are trying because it's important. So when you ask them to do it, they also understand it's important and they'll do it better so they can help you and they can feel like the reward is just you being proud. This is how you raise, again, leaders. This is so that's hopefully that answered your. That is what I think you should do.
Oh, no, 100%. I like it. I like the passion behind it. So when we're talking about leaders, right? So leaders read. So
yeah, please say it for the people in the back. Say it for the
people in the back. Yeah, leaders read.
Yes.
They do. They have to read. So do you feel as like, not even do you feel like, was that something that was going through your mind? Like when you're building leaders, they need to get comfortable with reading and at a level where they're at now, make it fun too.
Yeah. Oh, let me say something to you. When we start to change from books to audiobooks and then to computers and all that stuff, we transfer things based on what is profitable because that transfer following. So what happens is things that are not, as I always use the word sexy, and they tell me as a children's book author, you're not supposed to use that word, but I'm going to say it. The things that are not sexy, the things as appealing are not going to always be transferred. So if we raise children that cannot read so they can see the original history, so they can see the original manuscript, they will miss out on knowledge and then be in danger of repeating mistakes that if they just open a book, they would know this has already happened. That makes sense?
True, yeah.
I think that reading itself is reading is so paramount. Yes, audiobook. Yes, I love cassettes and videos like that, but reading is a must. In addition to the fact that reading helps to develop your mental muscle, it's your imagination. So if I tell you that the word is blue in a book, your imagination configures its own personal blue that you like to see. But if I put the blue that it is in a video, now your mind is told this is the blue it is, and that's the hue you always see when you think of that book. Do you see what happens there? Your imagination needs to create its own vision, and that happens. I'll give you words, and your mind will develop what you believe in. Your version of that is. That is a must. You need to be able to do that. So I'm sorry for getting on a rant, but reading is, I hope that's what we're talking about. I don't even know that's what we're talking about. I'm so upset. You must to read. You hear me, people? You must to read. Like,
you're fine. No, I love it. I love the energy. I love that analogy. No, me too. I mean, hey, like that was a real breakdown, and I like it. Yeah, she's definitely on a whole different level. I agree, and I love it. I love it. Sometimes that's what we need. That's what we need. We need people that are on these healthy intellectual levels that are excited. Because if you came to my school when I was young and you were bringing these books and you were like, man, like, listen, this is the price, this is how much it is, and you read it, and then you had that energy with it as well, I would be like, I need those books. I need to read, right? When I was young though, I think I don't know. I think the only thing with me was that I think I was always reading. I just wasn't reading what my mom would like me to read at a certain point. Like I like comic books, so I love to read comic books. I love to read about sports stuff, basketball, video games, nothing but reading. Like I know it wasn't like the most like glorified thing back in the day that we played video games at times, but I went outside a lot. But you couldn't just sit in the house all the time. Video game time went down. If it was nice outside and my mom was getting sick and tired of you being in the house, she would, where's your ball at? Go outside. It's not even bad outside or whatever the case may be. Don't come back. Like just leave, get out. But a lot of times she didn't have to say that because I was already out. If I felt the weather was nice because I love basketball, I was grabbing my ball. I had like a closet full of basketballs. I had more basketballs than shoes.
So here's the thing. Unfortunately for me, well, I don't want to say unfortunately because I love who I turned out to be. Still am. a female. So getting to go outside, if I got the chance, I'm out. But my mom was also raising a lady. At least she tried. I mean, I'm kind of rough, but being outside and ripping and running, sweaty with my ponytails all over the world, that wasn't gonna happen. Like, so I was gonna sit down. I was gonna read something. So it was quick for her. She was quick to say, "Sit down and read something." You hear me? Get something in your hand, read something. But I loved because my family was educators and all that. So being able to know something different, to read, to spell, that is how you impress my mother. That is how you impress my grandmother. That's how you impress my family. So I loved reading because I loved being able to prove something new. And then I had a sister, so she would compete with me. She wanted to show what she read. And so education was just so important to us because that was a so the idea of not going to school or school not being cool, all that, it was like ew in my family. Like, what is that? So I didn't get to rip and run as much outside. And then the older I got, it just seemed, now I don't even like being outside like that. I'm just kind of like, not me. But of that. So being a girl, that was something that was super important to us, though, because my grandmother did not want us to be women that depended on a man. She taught us how to wait on them hand and foot, to love them, but never to be in a position where we needed them. That was not okay. And she felt like as long as she could increase up here, we wouldn't have to. So that's kind of how my background with reading started, because what we knew was going to be able to help us do the things we wanted to do. So that's kind of
true. Before I actually get to King Nick's question, I want to ask you, what was the first book, if you can remember, that you read or that caught your attention?
Okay, here's my truth. Once my mom and my family started to allow me to read what I wanted to read, because I grew up in they made me read Think and Grow Rich actually really young. They made me read. We had to read first Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon, The Magic of Thinking Big. What are the other? There's two more, but there was 5 of them that we just had to read just in general. But once I was at an age where I was grown and I could pick my own book, will not lie to you guys, I started reading Toni Morrison's Zane. Okay, because it was but that was my independence. That was my
Thanks.
able to choose my own book.
I like that. I like the transparency.
Is I was reading those books and peeking over like, what is this? But that was a tween thing. But after that, just because, like they say, you train a child in a way and they won't stray. After I went stage, I went back to just books that talked about growth and things like that. So I don't even know, like, man, what didn't I read? The Secret was something I liked. The Celestine, like, I was a different kid because of how I kind of grew up. So those were kind of the things that interest me and trying to learn how to manifest change and the things that I liked. So that's kind of how my background went.
True. So I like that you had to read Think and Grow Rich.
Oh,
The Richest Man on Babylon.
We had to. That was not even. And at the time, it was frustrating because I looked silly being 11 and 12 reading these books to my peers. Now, to other people, it was fun, but and my mom used to love to put me on platforms. I had a few pictures in like some newspapers and stuff, but for being my age, it was just like, man, what is she talking about? Like, so I was not the cool.
Thanks, right?
Those things. So that's why I said I would change the way that it was done, because I know I didn't think it was fun at that time, but I'm grateful for it. So I would that's why I'm writing my books and trying to ease them into thoughts like that, and then hopefully they develop into that on their own.
True. Yeah, you were like ahead of your time, right?
Yeah.
They were all worried about Transformers and playing and.
But I will say this, I went into a personal sunken place after I strayed from that. I will say that, though. I want to be honest. Like, this has not been no crystal stair. Once I was able to get away from my family and my stringent, like, college, okay? When I set foot on that HBCU, okay? I met some amazing specimen there. And I got distracted. So there are I was still very active on campus, and I did a lot of pageants, and I was representative of a lot of stuff. So I was very active, but still very distracted. I wasn't doing some of the things that I should have done. Made a lot of money and spending it like I didn't know any better, so I wasn't saving. I mean, oh my gosh, did a lot of different things. But yeah, like I said, if you train us right, we'll come back and you figure it out. So I had a lot of and emotions. And I'll tell you this, I never felt so black until HBCU. It was the strangest thing. I I promise you. I grew up in a black neighborhood, and you know, my family's black, and you know, like I said, they did a lot of things. But it was different when I was in HBCU and I was introduced to the books that they had us read. Now, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember the name of this book. But I was reading all kinds of things. I went through that stage where I wanted to wear nothing but Afro, and I was super pro-black. And then one of the books from where I did research broke my heart. And I'm going to say this, and I know a lot of people might bash me, so let me know if I can't say this on a podcast.
No, you're good.
I went through a stage when I learned the history of slavery, and I learned that the initial slaves and what the trade was, we had captured our own people and given them as exchange for gunpowder and things. For my young mind at that time, I was angry with Africa, and because I write poetry too. And I can share some later. I have one poem I can share. This adult poem. After dark, but like meaning it's not a kid's poem. But I have this long poem called Africa's Abortion because I was so upset because that's what I thought I was. Because I felt like after reading history at that time, nobody stole us. We gave ourselves away. I had to grapple with that. But I had to also read other books to get a better understanding of the difference and the institution of slavery and the brutality that was added. So there was a stage, is what I'm saying. But my reading took me through all of that, and being a part of an HBCU, going through that. I mean, it was almost like reading, but being in like virtual reality glasses, you know, because you're surrounded by Black. You're surrounded by the different versions of us. You're surrounded by Black teachers. The way my professors interacted with me was like every grand aunt and uncle I had ever had. When I come in class, you're late, Thomas, get up here. Skirt down. You know, it was just, I was always talking to the elder. It was always loving. So leaving that, realizing I was taught my history, being free to explore it, you know, to my own degree, and then going into corporate America and it being different. Oh my gosh, that was a whole nother washover for me as well. And I, of course, relied on my books, and so I started reading different things there. And so it has been a roller coaster for me.
True. Now, I appreciate the transparency because I think even though that you're a children's book author, it's okay for you to be able to express who you are as a person and who you were and all the obstacles that got you to where you're at now, because then these kids are going to grow up.
Yes.
And so you can I've always said that people can have different books. You can be a children's book author, but then you could just be the people's book author that has children books, teen books, young adult, and even adults. Adults need books, especially these like short books. I feel like it's something that will also encourage people to read. Like King Nix, he had a question. He said, what book do I start with? Because he's not a reader, but he's going to force himself to read.
Okay. So my first thought to King Nix is, I always say start off with Think and Grow Rich to me. But that does not mean to start off with. Because King Nix, what I want to ask you is, why are you forcing yourself to read? Just because I've explained why reading is important, I agree. Why do you want to read? Baby, what is it that you want this reading to do for you? What is the change you want to feel in the first book that you read when it's something you don't like doing? Answer that question, that'll tell you what genre and what type of book you need to read, because I don't want to recommend a book for you, but you have this expectation and then it disappoints you, and you in turn take that as, I'm just not a reader. Do you see what happened there? So I need you to ask yourself, Why is it that you want to read? And if you don't really, if you feel like reading is important, you just want to develop the habit, just like he said earlier when he was younger, video game reading, comic book reading, that was his interest. It kept him going. His vocabulary was still extending. His mindset was still, his mind muscle was still moving, and it kept him reading more books. What's going to do that for you? Let's examine that and figure out what you need to read first. Fair?
True. Yeah, I think that's fair. I like that. I like that answer. It made me even think about it. Because I'm gonna be honest, the first book that I read on my own, and it was my third year in college. I had been reading nothing but college books, and reading on stuff that I wanted to do in my personal life. So the first book that I was like, man, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna really read, and it was really something to do in between class. But I had this book called The Prince, by Machiavelli, and it was a Tupac. It was a book that Tupac read when he was incarcerated at one point in time. And I'm a huge fan of Tupac. I'm a huge hip hop fan, and Tupac was always very interesting to me because he was a really true artist, and I think he didn't get to express all of his true artistry as an adult. I feel like there was a lot of distractions, and then being in the hip hop world, and then going from one label to another, from one group of people, which was Shock G, the Digital Underground, to going to like around Snoop Dogg, Death Row, and things of that nature. I was just like intrigued. I was like, well, why would he pick this book, The Prince? And I remember just staring at it. And I picked it up one day before I went to my class. I picked it up and I went. I had just moved to Atlanta. And in between my class, I was just like reading this book, and I was just looking. And I remember the first page I read, and I was like, oh. And I just kept reading. I got done with the first chapter, and then it was time to go to class. So then I went to class. But then every day in between my classes, because my Monday, Wednesday classes were like my longest days. So Monday, Wednesday, I would always make sure I had that book on me. And when I finally finished it, it just like was a domino effect. You know what I mean? And it just intrigued me. And then I just kept reading and reading. So Think and Grow Rich, I definitely want to read. And there's also audiobooks too, King Nix.
Yes. I think that audiobooks are a huge, perfect, great step reading if you're not a reader. So I would definitely get the audiobook of whatever you start to read. I have different programs, but I definitely use one of my favorites. I don't mind paying for reading because that's my thing. So, but I would get that if I were you. And a lot of people, I've got a lot of people who are rich around me, and they're all getting on Audible. And it took them a while, but then they were like, man, this book is really changing my life. But I will say, and I did a little video on my page too about why I like Think and Grow Rich. But what Think and Grow Rich is going to do is it's going to hold you accountable first for who you are. Then it's going to ask you to get a vision for what you want to be. Then it's going to teach you how to become who you want to be using all of the things that you have, which is pretty much your mindset. That is what Think and Grow Rich does for you. But that first portion of holding you accountable for who you are and where you are is deep. But once you get past that, and once you accept that, and if you follow what the book is asking you to, you will start to see the change and the difference in yourself. So definitely something I suggest Audible, and for you to just listen to it and subscribe to it. It's not a book that you can just read and be like, oh, okay, I get it. You definitely need to practice what it is saying. So for me, a part of the book is telling you about writing, but do not confuse your affirmations with I am great, I am this. Your affirmations need to be affirmations, things that you are genuinely self-confident, self-conscious about you. They have to be individualized affirmations. So one of my first portion of my affirmations is long now, and I know it by heart, and I say it every single day. But with the first line in my affirmation is, I, Dahlia Deering, have $1 million gifts. I start off that way because my biggest insecurity when I started this is that I was worthless, That was something that I had to look at self first and realize that I battled. I pretended like then I had a lot of reasons why I shouldn't be, but I really had an issue thinking to myself, I did all this reading, I did all this learning, and I don't know how to make money from it. I don't know how to get someone else to pay me for these gifts. I feel worthless. Once I made that realization for myself, I had to write an affirmation and say it powerfully across. I have $1,000,000 gifts. I know they exist within me. Then I had to examine, what are those $1,000,000 gifts? What are things that I would do for free, but I can get the world to pay me millions for? That's another process that you go through within yourself and figuring it out. And then I realized my gift of writing was about, again, having an intentional legacy bigger than me. And there are children all over this world. If everybody in the world paid me $1 for every child on the in this world for one of my children's books, oh my gosh. So these things can have, I have to open, and I'm not going to charge $1, but I have to open that window. I have to open my mind and see that. So there's a lot of things in my affirmation that I write and I tell myself, and I make them realistic. And it is, that book has helped me groom that affirmation to what it is. And now I tell myself that daily, even on days that I feel my best, because now that I've told myself that, I've heard my voice say it, it's up on my walls, it's everywhere. Even on days I come home and I feel like it and I don't want to, and I want to just lay down and not care. My dreams are around me, they aggravate me. I have nowhere away from them. I must to move. There's something I have to do. I may not be where I am today, but I will be doing something progressive just as habit. So that to me, the whole part of that book and taking that in. So definitely want you to examine that book as an option. But again, find something that inspires you. I would ask Three Kings this: what is your craft, baby? What is your gift to the world? What is it that you are getting ready to, what is it that you are already contributing to us and you would like us to pay you more for? Whenever he gets a chance, I guess he can answer it. But question for him.
Yeah. Now I love your answers. Your answers are so like in depth. they're digestible. Were you ever a teacher, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I was raised by them.
Oh, okay.
You know,
when the student becomes the teacher.
Years. I've always worked in management. So, and I manage a mostly. So that's what I've done. So it's always been important to me to be able to learn and then speak to the people that follow me as a leader, because when you're a leader, your vision is objective, but when you're a follower, your vision is subjective. You're worried about you and self. So you have to be able to take your objective vision and then make it digestible for all the different subjective people following you, and they're all different. So you need to know it inside and out so you can figure out how to feed each one, you know?
True. And while he's waiting for that to answer, because it's a little delayed, but I noticed that when I started getting on lives and other people's lives, I would send something, and then it would be like 2 minutes later they read it, and I'm like, oh, it's delayed, okay. And it just feels like real time over here, but I know he's probably already sent it. In the process about to send it. But you talked about going from an HBCU, which, if you don't mind asking, what HBCU did you go to? FAMU?
Yes.
Really? In Tallahassee, Florida?
Yeah. Yes, that's the only FAMU there is. Oh my God.
That's funny. No, it's just funny that you said FAMU, because I used to live in Pensacola, Florida.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Are you from Florida?
Yes, Miami, born and raised.
Miami, okay. Miami to Tallahassee, okay. That's amazing. So you went from the south to up north. I like that. The Panhandle area. I like that. So
I'm third generation on both sides. So both of my grandparents are both sides with the fam. Then my parents met at fam, and then me, fam.
Third.
Yes.
That's wild. So the pressure was kind of on you to go to fam.
No, like I got other schools. My mom was doing that to show. Like I was blatantly going to fam.
Like you're like, nah, we're going to FAMU.
Yeah, and it was weird because some of my dad's professors was like, "Man, you look just like him," and I'm like, "This is uncomfortable." Like, one of us has been here, not me.
How was that though?
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, I would. I didn't, because a lot of people are like, did you go to HBCU? I'm like, kind of, but not kind of, but like a little bit, but not really. I went to 3 different colleges. I went from Pensacola State College, then I went to Delgado Community College, but then I moved to Atlanta, and I went to Atlanta Metro. And Atlanta Metro is, I tell people, I'm like, it's kind of like an HBCU because it's nothing but us there. Yeah. It's nothing but us there. And it was amazing. And that's where actually I met my professor who was, I think he was like economics or something like that, I think. No, it was like political. I don't know. I know it had to do with politics and economy. I know that. And they were both merged together. But I know he was the first person to tell me that. He was like, he said, I'm from like the projects in the hood area, right? He's like, but it was up to me. Was I gonna stay there forever mentally? You know, because I left physically, but was I gonna stay there mentally? He always told us, he was like, if you can never find another word to replace a curse word, he was like, you'll always be a lower class person. He said, so you can a high class person, a high mind class person will find ways to speak without cursing and using profanity. And he was like, that'll change you to everybody. He was like, because you'll be able to go anywhere. And the reason why I asked you about the HBCU was because, how do you think that's like missing in the world right now, is having corporations that are ran by us, that accept not just us, but make it more comfortable for us that understand us when we come into these corporate jobs. And things of that nature. Because I see a lot of people trying or starting to build corporations, and they're starting small or medium. But as they probably are going to progress and get bigger, how important do you think that's going to be for us as a culture?
I think it's going to be huge. I think it's super important. I do believe that it is missing, but I mean, it's obvious why it's missing. When you think of what to be, being a corporation takes and all of that. But I'm so excited to see so many of us, like you said, getting there, showing that, normalizing, creating them. And so that's what's important. I will say this. When you're at for example, when you're at a HBCU or when you're around us, we got a few snakes and stuff and snitches, but we call them snakes and snitches, and it's picked at in our community because that's not okay. We celebrate being 100. If you feel a way about me, you see something, you say something. You don't be in my face and back. That is something we as a community, that's what you hear about all the time. In corporate, it's the opposite. In corporate, it is glorified to smile in your face and to tell you one thing and to do another. In corporate, it's about harming you. So we, as at least I was, and a lot of the rest of the ones that had to get into that corporate arena, we are so heartbroken and thrown off by certain people's ability to be fake because we can't even fathom. That's not even a time. Even if I'm silent, my face is telling you I don't agree. Do you see what I'm saying? My body language is saying I'm not even interested. So to be in an environment where people can convince you and bring you in and be super welcome and be rubbing your back with a knife throws us. And so I just think that I've noticed, though, from my constituents that joined corporations, well, that went to predominantly white schools, and I'm not saying that's the reason, please, guys, but I'm just sharing the differences from my personal versus me going to an HBCU. My culture shock that I had joining a corporation versus theirs is totally different. They expected it. They studied with people like that. Their study groups was filled with that. Their behavior, they knew how to play the game. Me personally, I was going to work to do what I said I was going to do. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pretend like I am. You know what I mean? If you ask me, do you think this looks nice? And if it looks like trash, I'm be like, really? But if that's what you want to do, I say naturally because you're asking me. And so it was I was hit with such culture shock when I had to be pulled to the side so many times to be like, hey, they feel some hostility from you. And I'm like, how? I didn't say anything. I had to learn. They felt hostile because I was open and clear about when I disagreed. They thought I was being aggressive when I didn't pull punches to let them know I didn't like something. I didn't, buddy. I didn't ball my. I was just very clear. You get what I'm saying? Like, but habit for us. This is expected. This is how we speak. But when you go into a corporation where everything's about political, who's liked, so if somebody said, is it something attractive, who's saying it versus the actual object. You're not judging whether or not that's attractive. They're only asking you so that they can put the facade on of community, but they don't really want to know what you think. They've made a decision. Like, these are things I had to learn over time. These are, and I'm still not the best at it. There's still something I like, because there's a lot of times where if you ask me certain, it's going to be met with how I really feel, but I have fine-tuned how I deliver my truth, because I did not, and I refused to become a liar or a fake person. I didn't even want to take that on.
True.
So I learned how to better deliver my truth.
True.
I had to learn to tell people when I did not have, I don't understand your choice, but it could be me. I don't understand why you chose that, but you're more well versed in this area. I had to learn to not say, heck no, that's not attractive. Like, why would we do that? Like, so these are things though you learn how to let go. When they ask you, do you want to go to certain lunches, and you know you don't want to go, you say, oh my gosh, I hate to have a prior engagement. Make it super important. And you wish I could be there. So now, versus you just turning it down and they feel like, oh, she thinks she's better than me. She got to. You learn how to do these things, you know? So I won't lie, it's a skill I wish I didn't have to have, but it's needed when you're interacting like that.
It's something that I know how to utilize, but I'm gonna be honest. I got tired of conforming.
Yeah.
I became the bad guy in situations because I stopped conforming. I stopped.
Yes.
Because I was like, why do I have to change myself so much?
Or why do I have to subpar? Why is it okay for Katie to do that? Because Katie's such and such daughter. You see Katie as such and such daughter. I see Katie as such and such daughter in this position. The requirement for this position is such. So I want Katie to perform as such. And if Katie's not the resource for that, but this is needed, please let me, because that is my goal. Like, I don't care about whose daughter she is. I like Katie. I think Katie's cool. At the end of the day, I need the resource from this position. You gave her the name tag.
True.
But I had to learn that's not how it is. So again, these are games that you get tired of playing, you don't want to play, and so you do what we're doing and you become an entrepreneur. You start your own business and you start to work with people that are like-minded. You put them in our communities where our language is spoken. You see, I like being the what is it called when, what is English? English is our first language. I like being the first language of the community that I'm working with. I don't want to have to fake. And that's why I have great team members. We always talk real. They always speak to me and let me know what they really feel. They're not disrespectful, but they tell me, I'm not feeling this. I don't have buy-in for this. And we can actually deal, we can put the Band-Aid where it hurts. You get what I'm saying? We can deal with the actual problem. So, but that's a benefit that comes with creating your own community and working in your own business and doing what you need to do for yourself. So this is where the drive and the vision and my why as an entrepreneur steps in, because I need that freedom, because my goal is true growth, and I can't get true growth. I have to tiptoe about creating it, you know?
True. No, I love that. So just get to King next real quick, and I loved everything that you were saying. That's 100% honest. He says, I'm good at being a comedian. I'm a creative person who does things like this, flip furniture, create videos that help people learn. Photographer. He's a photographer and well-known YouTuber, but I'm lost, but so talented. Yeah. And no, yeah, King Nix is I can attest to that. If you go to his YouTube video, I can confidently watch from his video how to put the lights and the clouds on the roof and make my stuff pop out. You know what I mean? I need to do something in my background instead of just this blank wall.
So here's my thought. If King Next, if that is your goal, and if that is your craft, and that is your passion, seriously, the first thing I would do is I would tell you to choose mentors, and you probably already have. For me, a lot of my mentors are dead. It's weird, but a lot of them are, but they're my mentors. So you choose your mentors, and then you study them, because you obviously are interested in them because they have a buy-in for you. Whatever it is that they've achieved, you want to achieve a like greatness. You don't want their greatness, you want your own, but you want a like greatness because they've done it in your niche. Find your mentors and force yourself to read about them. If you don't have to start big with a book, find articles about them. Find things that are not on Wikipedia. Challenge yourself to find the least known facts about these people. That scavenger hunt alone makes it exciting. You follow me? So now, challenge yourself there. Read those things. Then your craft, if there are books that comedians put out that are about the craft and not necessarily about their life, if you're not interested in life, find those books. I always say find the oldest books first. Try to find yourself some originals, things, again, that are less known facts by every year, so that you can be excited to, number one, learn, number two, you have a pride and you feel a little extra because you know something that most people don't. You have better conversations with people in your craft because of that. You have a better understanding of origins of the craft because of that. It helps to shape your mind on how you push where your craft is forward because you have more interest, you have more knowledge about the history. It does so many different things for you. And before you know it, you'll be reading up a storm. And as you read and you push your craft and you develop more, that the more you learn, the more you're like, okay, this is what you need to learn about. You'll see more things that, okay, so I should study this. And before you know it, you will be reading every fact, watching TV. But I think that, to me, that would be a start to me. So don't feel forced to start with a book. Start with articles, least known facts, things that you can have conversations about. Because again, a lot of the world now is networking. So if you're really in this craft, like you said, you're probably out networking amongst like-minded people in the craft. Know something different when you come to the table. Have something different to talk about. And these little articles and these historical things like that, mentors are going to give you that leg up. That's my thought.
True. And I thought I was something's wrong with me because I like listening to old dead people.
Ooh. Yeah, all of my mentors are pretty much, most of my mentors are dead. Man, I say I learn so many things and nuggets and a lot of the wisdom and things you guys may hear and be like, man, it's because I'm reading the old, because that's kind of where I put myself. And so I do appreciate some of the new stuff too, but the old stuff, so a lot of times when I read new stuff, I can be like, you got this from this person, or you're influenced by that. Or just like you told me, it was like John Henry, and I was like, oh my gosh, I rewrote that book and didn't even know, but I used to read it when I was younger. So it all comes back. It shows. So yeah.
True. It's like his son. That's all I was thinking about. It's like, is it John Henry's son?
I love
or like just a descendant from him, even if it's not his son. Like, is this a grandkid? Is this a part of the bloodline? You know what I mean?
Yes, but you know what it was? Oh, and I wanted to say something about that book. One of the things, there was a lot of key components about that book, but what was most important to me about that book was that he did not have a name. I did not want to give the lumberjack a name because a name adds culture, background, some sort of individuality to the character, and I needed to be anybody. He needed to be anybody who was responsible for chopping trees, he needed to be you, me, whatever the case may be. So as long as he was faceless, the faith that he had accomplished, you could too also accomplish. So that's why it was important that he did not have a name and he was called Lumberjack.
You know what? So not everybody makes me do the coming to America. Aha. Aha. But you know what? That was aha.
Yes.
It was. I was. No, I really just noticed that too. His name, he didn't have a name. I gave him a name. I was like, I didn't give him a name. I was just like, I made him a part of this family.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill. Yeah, Napoleon Hill. Okay. Yeah, that's a good mentor to have, Napoleon Hill. I've only scratched the surface with all of this. I'm still young. I'm a baby. I'll get it together though. But now you have me excited to read Think and Grow Rich. Like, and it's been a book that I've been trying to get through. But when you explained it the way you did, I was like, I gotta get Think and Grow Rich. I gotta get it. So and I like everything that you said about corporate America, about your books, how you started, and even your upbringing, your uprising, and even like your transparent flowing through life, right? You know what I mean? Because we've all went through it, right? That's the reason why I was so proud to go to community colleges. People were like, "Why?" I was like, "If I went to a university, I wouldn't concentrate."
Yeah.
They're like, "What do you mean?"
It could be a distraction.
I was like, I wouldn't concentrate. I was like, I'd be at the parties. I'd be in dorm rooms. I was like, I knew who I was as a teenager doing these things before I even got to college. I was the one in high school that everybody's seen at all of the senior stuff. I was at all of the senior stuff, and I wasn't a senior. So every year, and it happened for 2 years in a row, where it was just these moments from seniors that they're like, man, I'm sorry, man. Hey, it's okay, man. Like, hey, you'll get them next year though, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, you're not graduating, man, but it's okay. I said, I wasn't supposed to graduate this year. And they're like, what grade are you in? I was like, I'm a sophomore. And they're like, why you got all the senior stuff? I was like, because, man, I'm obviously like not a great high school student. I like to go to all the older stuff. I'm supposed to be around my group of people. I'm around y'all's group of people. And then when it came to my last year, it was a moment of like, I knew I didn't do anything for 3 years, like not as good as I could have done. Right. And it was like that last year was like crunch mode. And then I had to go, I had to actually go to summer school to actually get my high school diploma. I had to take like 3 or 4 extra classes just to get my high school diploma. But from there, it was at the college that I was going to go to. So when I graduated, I went straight into college. Like I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks during the summer. And then after that, I went and I enrolled for college and I went through. My mom was surprised because I told her I wasn't going to college. Because I'm not going to college. I was like, I'm going to do music. I'm going to own businesses. I have all these great plans. But when I thought about it, I was like, you probably going to do those things, but don't you want to see what college maybe even is able to give you? And I was glad that I went. Even though I dropped out my 3rd year, I was glad that I went because it gave me a confidence and it gave me knowledge. And I got to meet a lot of extraordinary people, business owners that were my teachers and things of that nature. So it was amazing. I loved it. So I know that you were talking about like us keeping it real, right? And just the language and all of that. You know what I mean? But how important is it for us to be able to speak freely for how we speak? Because I don't think we do anything wrong, like in a certain sense of how we speak to each other. I think keeping it 100% is nice because when I went to corporate America, like it wasn't. I didn't like it. I stopped because I started corporate America working from home. So then when I transitioned from working at home in 2015 to then getting out of that and saying, all right, let me go out and really go in these offices, I find myself in like a place where I was just like, this is what happens in the office for real. I was like, oh, this is terrible. You got a beautiful smile in my eyes and many more. Don't hold yourself back. That was Memo talking to you.
Oh, well, thank you. I thought he liked just, that's nice of him.
That's all for you. That was definitely for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was definitely for you. I know who memorized that. Yeah, and I appreciate it. This is terrible.
And I love you so nice. Sorry. But I appreciate it. That makes you feel great.
True. No, I love it. No, you do have you have an amazing spirit though. You do, you really do, and I love it. I love it. So I know you were talking about so what, just being honest. If you could pick one, right? I'm not saying that you have to pick a favorite, but what's your favorite book to read, like that you wrote?
Oh, that I wrote?
Mm-hmm.
I always feel so guilty, but um, Worth the Wood. Worth the Wood's
Mm-hmm.
my, and I love each book so much. But
Really?
Worth the Wood is my favorite. That's why I say it's my favorite one. Yeah.
Oh, well, I appreciate. Now I feel honored that you
So
say.
right here is like I want to cover their ears.
True.
Yes. I that is. But my one of my other ones is a book I wrote called "I Am Greatness," and there's a line in here, and I'll just read it really fast. I won't take up a lot of time. But what I love is this one right here, and it says, "I will defend you and commend you when you are doing your best, because you are also greatness, and it is contagious. You are tied to my success." And so that's in the book I'm Greatness, and it is an affirmation poem book for kids. And but I just want to teach people to realize again that intention of legacy. Your success is also tied to other people's success. So defend them, commend them, protect them, love them. And again, my books are meant for everyone, but my goal is to get them to our communities. I want my books in all of our communities just because I want us to have these principles and these thoughts. You know, as children, I want to start these in homes. That's very important. So yeah, that's one of my things. Yes. Oh, I really want to. Okay, and I'm not gonna take up all y'all time because I know you're like, hey, could you go to bed?
No.
But I was gonna ask is I have a poem. It's not long. Can I read it to you guys? I love to share it. Can I share it?
Yeah, I'm down for it. I feel like they're gonna be down for it as well.
Okay. I want
Just understand that sometimes these lives go like 3 hours. So
I,
you're
okay.
good.
I want to read that. Hold on one
All
second.
right, go ahead. So yeah, we have so tonight is Crown Fable author, and it is featuring Dahlia Deering, who is a Black children's book author. And we'll say children's book author. And she's an amazing spirit and soul as well. She's been so transparent and amazing with us tonight. I love it.
Yes. So this poem is not long, but it's called "I Won't Let a Wind Distract." Okay. It is easy for a loser to accept a loss. He was preconditioned for the news. But the same goes for a winner. The difference lies in their views. If I aim for the sky, but I land amongst the trees, I'll celebrate because I'm better placed to aim again with ease. My greatness is self defined, and its attainment can never be possessed if I just give up trying at the first success. I won't confuse something working for something that has worked. One push gets the baby, but it doesn't complete the birth. So I'll enjoy my Afro celebration, and then I'll let hot comb thoughts relax me. Because my true purpose is to make a difference and not a living. I won't let a win distract me. That's it. But
That's nice. That's nice. That is very nice. And just to take a page out of something Art of Noise stated. She stated that a lot of these poems and poetry artists, when they're reciting them, she was like, it needs to be a genre of music. It needs to be a hip hop genre or just a genre in general, like poetry just needs to be its own genre of music. and have like beats going with it, or even a cappella at times. Because I know a lot of there are poets that they have a rhythmic pattern that goes with with their poem. So it's not even like they need a beat, because the words and the cadences and the way that they're saying it is a rhythm all in itself. So I think it's amazing, because I think some of our best artists started off as poets, or just has poetry sounds to it. And I love poetry. I love those that write it, that love to recite it. So thank you for reciting that for real, 100%. Oh man, I'm going to have to take a look at her books. Yeah, no, 100%. No, definitely do it. Even if it's not for, it could be for you. It could be, yeah, because listen, you have books that I feel like that's why adults do go, because they're like these little short, powerful books that hit you right in the soul, and I love it. I love it. So I know you have it. So your business is called Fawn Fables.
Yes, and I put it. I put the website in the chat so people could see it and visit it real quick, and they can look at it and check me out there. But yeah, Fawn Fables is the name of and I really want to do as much as most of my books will be poetic. Some of them won't rhyme in the future because I'm working on 4 new ones, but all of those rhyme as well. Because while kids are young, and even when we're our age, things that rhyme is easy for remember. They're quick. You make room for rhymes. So, and since that's my gift, I try to do that. So there are things that you can quote, your kids can quote back to you, that kind of thing. I have a little video of a young lady, and oh my gosh, my heart goes out to her because she's beautiful, and you don't know, but she has some. She's on the spectrum. She has the book I Am Greatness, and so there's a video of her on my page just saying I am greatness, I am great, because she remembers this from the book, and I'm telling you, it is the best feeling. And so that is why I do it. That's why I try to use the rhymes, because a lot of times they're small enough, like you said, for them to remember, them to replay, and they could become personal mantras. So that's what I'm trying to do with my talent.
True. You know what? I like to, if I can, give people like an assist or set them up for an alley-oop.
Okay.
Because there's something that, and you just remind me of it. I don't know why, but you do. And especially your books and how short they are. But I had this one book that my father sent me when I was real young. Okay. And I read it because it was a personalized book. So in it, it had my name. So every step of the way, it had my name in it. And I just love that. So I think that's something that I want to plant that seed for you. And hopefully we see that in the future. Because yeah. I think that would also be like, especially for your books. Like your books are so amazing. Like I Am Greatness. Like it's speaking of I, but also if they had an ability to be able to personalize it.
Yes.
Well,
I didn't even think that, and I appreciate you for sharing that with me. And that is definitely something that I will integrate in the future. I appreciate you for doing that. Thank you.
No, thank you. Because again, I wasn't a reader when I was young. My mom got me the Harry Potter book, and to this day, my mom is mad about that. She has a feeling about that.
Read them?
She bought me. No, she just bought me one, and she was like, I bought you. She was excited too. She's like, I bought you a book. She's like, I think you're gonna love it. She's like, it's upstairs on your bed in your room. Tell me if you like it. And I looked at it, and I just seen how big it was. I didn't know who Harry Potter was. I seen the way he looked.
Book 4, like that is the biggest book.
That thing's bigger than the Bible. You hear me?
It's the 4th one. I know it is.
Yeah, listen, it was the hugest book I've ever seen. And I looked at it, I was like, why did you buy me the Bible to read? I said, this is the Bible on steroids. And she said, no, it's not, Dre. It's not the Bible on steroids. It's Harry Potter. I said, who is Harry Potter? And like, mind you, I'm like the kid that plays sports and basketball. I was like, who's Harry Potter? I was like, I'm not reading this. I was like, man, I said, listen, that book sat on the shelf. And I literally never even tried to read the first page. Fire red. Okay. Fire Red is Fire Red is I know she just seen the tension. Fire Red is it's a podcast buddy of mine, but he's kind of like what Sesame Street would have been if it hadn't been on children's TV, right? No, he's amazing. He's funny though.
Don't swim Sesame Street kind of thing.
Yeah. He's from the block. He's not even from Sesame Street. He's from the block around the corner that you don't see on Sesame Street. And he's Caribbean. So he's a Rasta. But no, he's amazing. He does a live every Sunday night at 8 p.m. and he's just a funny guy. He's really funny. Amazing at what he does.
Your sister.
Yeah, I don't have on Fire Red, so it's okay. She'll be okay. But it's amazing. We have these exchanges. I'm not Indian, by the way. Fire Red, now you coming in here and you starting stuff because now you gotta make me have to explain myself because now she's probably like, is he Indian? And then it's not even bad that nobody thinks I'm Indian, right?
No, I just assumed you were, and I was like, okay. I was like, okay, that's cool.
No, it's not. But it's funny because he's the first person that ever really said it in a funny way because I actually had an Indian lady in a Walmart in Atlanta. She was trying to get me the red thing. She was like, do you want? And I was like, no. I don't. I was like, why would I need that? She's like, what part of are your parents from the Middle East? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't have exchanges with me.
How is she like? Why is that appropriate? What?
No, to be mindful, at the time I did have really long hair. I did. I had long hair, and I came out the house. I had undone it from the braids or whatever because I was working at home. My ex had put these braids in my hair, these two braids, and I took them out. So my hair was like really like it was like yeah. So she just was like she just knew she had me on point, like right, like. And there's a lot of Middle Eastern people in Atlanta. I'm not sure where you're from, but there are.
Atlanta.
Oh, you're living in Atlanta. Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, no, like so it wasn't high fetch, and I was in because this will give you a better range of where I was at. I was in where was I at? I was in Sandy Springs at this time.
Ah, okay.
So I was in Sandy Springs, right, area. And in the area, the Walmart I went to, there's a lot of Middle Eastern. There's a big Middle Eastern community around there. She was super nice about it, but when I told her no, she was like, "It's okay."
You don't see this like say it in the chat. What is going on?
Maybe no. Actually, my father's Ecuadorian, but I don't know. Somebody maybe been from the Middle East and things of that nature. But if anybody has any questions for her, definitely put it in there in the chat or just ask it on there. Like that is corner from around the alley where Oscar was on Sesame Street. I just thought you Black and Indigenous. Was I correct? Yeah, definitely you're correct. South American, Indigenous. Maybe someone in your family is probably. It could. I wouldn't doubt it. Cause someone Middle Eastern and dark, but she didn't have to come out. And say that she needed to relax or something. Now I was listen, I know who I look like. I've been mistaken for Mexican, Ethiopian. Now Ethiopian, when I ain't gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie. I was just like Ethiopian. He was like, I didn't mean to offend you, did I? And it was a Caucasian dude, and I was like, no, you're good, man. I was like, I'm not about to get upset with you. I was like, I just never heard that. He's like, no, I have an Ethiopian friend. Y'all are the same color. I promise you. And I was like, you're fine. Moving forward, I actually met somebody who's Ethiopian in recent times. And I seen the color of her and her father, and I was just like,
Wait,
like, maybe so.
Because I think at this point in my life, I feel like it's like asking somebody if they're pregnant because worst case scenario, if that answers no, now it's awkward. And everybody's got 5 seconds because now we don't know what to do, right?
True.
Is when you ask somebody, age, if they're Ethiopian, it's almost like, are you playing like a Jeopardy in your, gotcha, I know I can recognize him when I see him. Is that going to change how you talk to me? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, of all the things, you see me from a distance, you don't know me, and you say, question, are you Ethiopian? It's like that. You could have done with me right now in the world. That's it. That's what you want to do. Why? Like, I guess in my mind, that's why it just feels inappropriate. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
True. Yeah, I'm not gonna listen to what Fire Red's putting out there right now. I said I was multiracial, sir. Multiracial. Biracial, but you know what I meant, biracial, multiracial. He's funny. I'm Black and Puerto Rican, but everyone thinks I'm just African American, but I understand Spanish 100%. So when I laugh. True. Don't come in here starting no stuff. Yeah, don't start nothing, won't be nothing, Fire Red. We have a children's author in here, okay?
Yes, I wear that very, very seriously. So I do have conversations, and I can talk about certain things, but I keep it limited just because you know how we feel as entrepreneurs. I am my brand. So I never want my brand and me to be confused with anything too inappropriate. I'm cool with jokes and certain things, but me personally saying that on camera, recorded anywhere, you're not going to get a lot of that. Like,
True. Yeah. Leave it for me, for the host. And that's why I stay away from him. But no, he's a funny guy. If you ever want to check him out, you can check him out.
I had already decided everyone on here, I'm going to go through and follow back because they have been amazing. And I think, like I said, we attract what we are. For you to attract a group of people that are this active and this positive and this forward thinking, because for them to enjoy what we talk about, they have to be on this mind lens. And so I think that that's awesome. I'm super proud, and that speaks volumes about you.
Oh, I appreciate it. And we actually, just to shout out Laura Hackney, because she was actually the first children's book author I've ever had a pleasure of actually having on the show. And she was kind of like you. You both are similar and different in certain ways. She was a teacher that also was raised by a teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, she had a book called The Tangle Fairy. So if you ever get a chance, I'll actually send her your information. Well, I mean, I'll send you her app handle, because I seen that you had a lot of authors that come in here. Are you all like a tight knit community?
Yeah. So I'm big on, me and my authors are close. Like, I talk to them. That's my niche. I speak to my community. They speak back. That's just kind of how my thing goes. So yes.
Okay. That's good. I like that. So maybe collaborations are in the work. I don't know if you all are like music artists. Do you like collaborate on books and things of that nature?
I collaborate with anyone. So like this book, Stony the Vegan Pizza Night. This was written with a Black vegan chef. So, we came up with the concept together. We wrote the book. And so I'm big on anything. Like, if you want to speak on something or write about something, I'm good with going if you just give me a concept and I can pretty much there.
True. I can see. Salud.
Sorry. Look. I had that piece one. I'm like, gosh, why now? But
You're good. You're perfectly fine. I've had, trust me, I go on here 6 days a week, and I just had somebody on here that was like, after it, they were like, man, I was reviewing what I was saying, and man, I shouldn't have said that. I was like, you're fine. I was like, you said one thing, and nobody even, like, everybody went past that, probably. I was like, imagine being 6 days a week, and you're the host of it, and you say some and it's supposed to be intellectual and things of that nature. I was like, because sometimes I don't have anybody on, so I'm talking, and I'll lose my train of thought, and I'm like, and then I have to like figure a way to get out that corner, right? I have to do Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope. I always tell people don't judge me, so bless you.
Oh my God, I don't know what's bothering me. There's something bothering me. Oh, in my own home, trying to figure out what am I doing? I'm not doing anything. Sorry.
Fire Red. Just blame it on Fire Red. It's Fire Red. It's always his fault. He comes in here and he stirs up the air. So it's okay. We'll blame Fire Red. Fire Red is your fault. Stop making us sneeze. But yeah, so my thing is at the end of it. So I've asked you these questions. You answered. You even gave us a poem, which was amazing, amazing. So what are some? Do you have any last thoughts, words, a message to anybody? What's on your heart, mind, and soul? It could be anything, and don't worry about the time.
My big message to anyone and everyone is, like I said, live with an intention of legacy. But I also want people to know you will never be as young as you are in this moment. You will never be as young as you are in this moment. There's a lot of us who are living with regret. There's a lot of us who have dreams and we're not going towards them because we think about, man, I should have started that when I was young, so on and so forth. But when you have thoughts like that, you're actually wasting the youth you have now. So if there is something that is on your heart, if there is something that you want to do, if there is someone that you want to be, I would simply ask that you start to make steps towards it now. And what you are going to be and what will come from it is so much bigger than anything that you can imagine if you just put your all into it and make an effort. When I first wrote Worth the Wood, because it's my first book, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just wrote a book. I didn't know what was going to happen with it. I know I was hoping that it would get to kids, but my thought to myself initially was, I'm going to put a book out there, and if people get it, they get it, but I just want to do it for myself. But in between the process, and I went through a lot and fall in love with it, I developed, why not become a children's book company? And then I was like, I don't even know how to become a children's book company, so I looked that up. I started reading. And so it developed and grew. And so from my children's book company right now, or from my children's books, I have developed and counting 9 different streams of income because I followed that thought. So I'm saying that to please, please, please do not expect to have all the answers when you want to do something. You just need to do. If you fail early and realize that your failures are fruitful, okay? You are such an awesome person. You think out what you want to do. There's so many great things about you. So if you can fail, there are so many people behind you and around you that are going to try that same thing. And guess who's going to have the answers to what happens if you will? And people want to know. They want to know what is the worst that can happen. You're going to know that, and you're going to give them those answers back because they pay you for the time and experience that you went through. Nobody else is going to be able to tell them like you can tell them because you've done it. But that won't happen through it properly unless you fail properly. And the way to fail properly is to give it everything. If you fail at something you didn't really try at, it's not a real fail. So now you're wasting everyone's time. You've upset yourself to make yourself believe that you can't do something that you could if you had actually tried. You're going around with hurt feelings and you're abusing and making other people feel like their dreams can't come true because you halfway tried something. Give it your all. Embarrass yourself for your dreams. It's important. Do it. And if you do that, there will be people who expected you to fail that will laugh at you. But then there will be other people who saw how hard you tried and said to themselves, I saw what tripped her up and I have the answer and I want to align with her. Let me go pick her up from that failure and show her how to get to where. Out loud, hard, on purpose. Feel the hurt. Learn from it. Grow from it. Move forward. Do what you have to do. You've come into this world, you're going to leave the world one way or the other. Leave something for someone. Make it different. Make it better. And you're only going to do that by being the best version of yourself. And I don't care if you're 78. If you're 78 and your goal is to live till you're 100, you've got so many more years ahead of you. That should be your expectation. Today, you're the youngest you're ever going to be right now. That's kind of my thought. That's all I wanted to give them.
Facts. We all got the fountain of youth just now. The fountain of youth is not a fountain. It's Dahlia. It's Dahlia Deer. She just gave us all the fountain of youth. The secret. This has been the secret all this long.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not even a real. You just got to find the right person. We found her tonight. She's a part of the fountain. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I'm the youngest. I'm super young today. I'm 13.
Yes, yes. Because I learned that in this journey. I was telling myself I was gonna write a book. I should, and I kept I spent so much time when the first thought first came to me. Now I look back at that and I'm like, I would be that much more further ahead. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're wasting youth talking about youth that you won't get back. You're young now. You're young now. When you were that young, you didn't know that this time was coming. Come on. Today. Do it today. Set yourself up now. And then when you decide to go at something, align yourself with people who are also going at things. If they're not at least going at the same thing you're going at, that's fine. But they need to be moving towards something. Do not surround yourself with satisfied people. Satisfied people are excel. I love to be around unsatisfied people. My favorite thing to hang around is an unsatisfied black woman. Woo! I love being an unsatisfied black woman. Let me say something. An unsatisfied ain't settling for nothing. And she's not gonna let you settle it. And I love that. So it inspires. I love when people meet me and they say, "Oh, there's so much about you," and I think to myself, "You gotta meet my friends." Like, you think, "Oh man, I got some girls." I'll tell you something, but I move like that, and when you in a crowd like that, it's just like Mean Girls. You don't want to be the girl that everybody's hanging around them. You want to fit in, and that's how I feel. So I hang around women who make sure, as a woman, that I keep my head up on days that I feel like, oh, to do this, man, I can't have long conversations with them. They can feel my vibe, and they're like, "I don't know what to do, but I'm gonna call you back. And when I do, I need to hear the forward thinking you, because you're getting on my nerves right now. We got stuff we're trying to do," and I love that. Every time I turn around, my friends are calling me and like, "Hey, so I just made this meeting with this person." And I start to feel like, God, what am I need to get on. What am I doing? Like, so align yourself with people like that. But the reason why you find it's just like you and I. It's just like me and this. There's a girl on here that I believe is my new best.
Is it Shay? I think she's spinning. She's spinning. She's spinning. She's spinning. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And action. No, it didn't. Is Shay? I knew it was you. You're gonna take over my show. I already know it, Shay. You're gonna take over my show. You're gonna take over my show. You're gonna take over my show. She's gonna come up. She's gonna do her segment, and everybody's gonna be like, "That's the new host for Bbq Talk Podcast." You're fine. You're good.
There is a Shayna Riviere. Shay, I can't say her name.
Yeah.
Is it Shayna? Did you see it in the blue?
Shay. Yeah, I just call her Shay.
Listen, that is, you don't even know I'm about to stalk her. Like, that is about, because the whole time I've been speaking what she's been saying, but you align yourself with people like that. You attract them when you put that energy out. So I'm not saying you have to go out and just find these people, but when you're in your craft and you want to do, once you make that decision, you're going to be your best you'll continue to run into people who are their best them. Now, in between, though, I want you to know there is a portion where you're by yourself and you're alone. That is important. You're shedding the skin of all the things that your old comfort zone has to be shed. So that decision has to be cemented in you. You've got to spend time by yourself. You've got to develop to really, really commit to that dream. Then all of a sudden you will start to attract the right element. So you don't want to just hop from one group to another, because you're going to bring some of that. So, when you really make this decision, though, when you really, really make this decision, these processes will happen. And before you know it, you are surrounded by people that think and move like yourself. And you will start to see more of what is possible for you through them. So now every win that the people around you have, jealousy starts to be eradicated because you know, yes, because if it's moving in her, it's on its way to me. If I'm hanging around 5 million, they say I'm gonna be the 6, right? So I don't care in what order those millions come. I already know I'm in the group. I'm in the group. Like, so, but I ain't gonna be on that. I'm just saying, please, please, please make a decision today to do whatever it that is that your gifts are. If you're working for someone else and they're not valued and you feel like that's your purpose, that's fine. But if you're working for someone else and not valuing you, those people are paying you to stay away from your dreams. They're paying you to keep you from being who you want to be. Make a decision today that you're not going to leave this earth. You're not going to leave this youthful second, and do whatever it is that's meant for you, man. We're all waiting. We all need it. We all want it. You have something so great to give. You are so valuable. This is the time for that. So that's my message and all. That is my mental and electronic hug that I'm sending to every soul on anybody who ever watches it later on. Do it. Be it. Decide.
Facts. No, I love it. I love the message. I love the message. So before we leave, I want to let you tell everybody where they can follow you at, what you have going on now, what you have planned for the future, and whatever books that you recommend, and for them to get, if there's any book recommendations out there, because I see that you have a good catalog.
Yes. I would say this. You can find me at All Things Dahlia Daring. If you put in Dahlia Daring, I'm typically the only thing that comes up. So anything that's social, I try to stay consistent because that's branding. Because that's for us. If you are an owner or you're doing something, do not change your handle across. Be exactly who you are across the board, so that people can always find you and your business. So I am always All Things Dahlia Daring or Fawn Fables. One of those two, Fawn Fables LLC or Dahlia Daring, is where you can find me. Any platform, if I'm there, that's what I'll be under. The next thing I would say is for the future, is to continue on this path and to just expand my books in as many homes as I can, to get my message to as many young minds as I can, to influence as many women as I can, to link as many women as I can, to empower and love as many Black men as I can. There's a lot that I'm trying to do. So that's my future. And if you want to see my books, it's actually pinned at the bottom, which is fawnfables.com. That is my website, fawnfables.com, and then my links are there as well.
True. I like it. He's a holder, man. Thank you, Shay. So I love it. I like I like all that you say. I don't listen. Not too many people. I mean, everybody comes in here and brings their value, right? Mm-hmm. But the type of value you bring and you brought is amazing. And I can't wait to talk to you more outside of this, or even be able to see what you got going on. What happened?
Oh. I realized one of my followers are in here. Okay.
That's amazing. So yeah, everybody's welcome to the barbecue. It's a barbecue.
Yeah.
And so my thing about it is that, and I have one last question. Do you have anything that you're doing pertaining to the 9 streams of income, right?
So here they are broken down. I manifested them, so they're on my wall. The first thing that I did was I wanted to get book sales. So I put my books online. So you get a stream of income from the books online. Now, of course, though, if you have books online, you get to a point where you can order them and you can sell them with your signature. So then people can buy books from you directly. The second stream of income. The more I realized that I learned how to write books, I realized more people wanted to know how I did it. So I started to charge $50 an hour for consultation once I got comfortable. So that is my third stream of income. After I did that, I learned there's a lot of people that are older and love the way I write, and they want to see their grandkids and their kids and more and books, but they don't want to do it themselves. So I have a ghostwriting for me to write the book. That's my fourth stream of income. Then after that, I realized though, I can write a book for a person, but if they don't know how to deal with illustrators, write up the illustration, do the negotiation and all the process, there's still a loss. So I have a book bundle you can buy. That's a different cost. That's my fifth stream of income. After that, I decided I'm a business, I'm a corporation. I don't leave without my merch on, because I wear my merch so much just to remind me that I'm in business. I have a lot of people that reached out to me and was like, how do I find your shirts? I your shirts. So I created merch, my sixth stream of income. After that, I decided, okay, there's so many people that say, I love the way you speak. Will you speak for me here? How much would you charge me? I hadn't even thought about charging people, but you asked, so I answered. So depending on the gig, I have my charges. And so that is my seventh stream of income. Next, I was like, there's so many people who don't have time for a $50 an hour consultation from me. A lot of them can know what to do if I just put it together in a curriculum. So that is my eighth stream of income. And lastly, I've decided that I'm going to get into the marketing stream in a marketing firm. So I'm learning how to market my books, use ClickFunnels, use virtual assistants. So there's a lot of things that I'm training myself to do now, but I've already set myself up with clients when I am ready that have prepaid me a deposit for it. So that is my ninth stream of income. This all happened book, a children's book that is maybe 400 words. I say that to say, this is why I spoke to you earlier and I said, you don't have to know what you're doing and why you're doing it when you start. I had no idea what was going to happen when I wrote Worth the Wood, but I knew I needed to do it. Today, youngest you are ever going to be, you must move. You must act. And every stream of income that I got was not a stream of income that I created. Someone saw where I was going and said, hey, can you do that for me? I value that. How much would you charge me? And I thought to myself, well, I guess I will charge you. So, but that's
now that you're asking, right? Yeah.
Right.
Like, what's that book called? I Need Any Manifestation to Come True. Worth the Wood, right?
Right. But the manifestation, that book is Think and Grow Rich. That's the book this is what Think and Grow Rich teaches you to do. So, lastly, let me give you this one last example of Think and Grow Rich. What Think and Grow Rich does is it tells you if you are a green apple owner and you live on a green apple farm and you live in a city where everybody has green apple farms, in a state where everybody has green apple farms, but you find out in the world there are red apples and red apples are worth $1 million and that there are red apple farms. Think and Grow Rich teaches you how to use your green apple in a state where nothing but green apples is grown, how to use the apple to get your not only on a red apple, but how to become a red apple farm owner. That is what Think and Grow Rich does. That is how it works. So I would definitely recommend that book, but in order for it to teach you to do that, your mindset has to be open, because the amount of accountability it's going to hold you first for the fact that you haven't done it yet, it's going to hit. But if you accept that to move forward, it's going to tell you now this is what we need to do.
I love it. But that, I need it. If I was young enough, I would be like, where are my adoption papers at? If anybody don't want their kids, just go ahead and give them to her. They'll be in great hands. If nothing, they will be smart. They will have 9 streams of income. And you know what? You just made me think about a lot of stuff. Like now I'm be sitting. I hope I can go to sleep tonight, because now I'm one of those people. I'll start thinking of stuff, and I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, and I want to do it all, so I'll miss out on sleep. I've literally missed out on sleep, and then went to sleep all day, and then woke up and still on it, and then next thing you know, everything's thrown off. Right? I've missed work doing this.
So don't feel bad about that. Rather you be late, obsessed with your future and your dreams, than being entertained by something that you're already paying them to entertain you for. Something that you already go see. Don't be up all night watching Netflix when you know Netflix is you're paying for the service to keep you up. So now you get up and say your energy's low and you ain't thought about your dreams yet. Don't do that. So it's okay. That makes sense. I'm up to bed. It's 12 o'clock. Good night, y'all. I love y'all.
Thanks. Same here. But I'm gonna definitely it's definitely been a pleasure for you to be up here. Somebody who knows you, I don't know, Sanjay Chun S Sanjay Chunara.
Yes.
Do you mind if I add that person? Do you want?
Oh, you can if you want to. I thought y'all wanted to go to bed, but you can't.
This is your live. This is your segment.
Go ahead. I don't mind.
I'm a good host. So Queen, hi. Welcome in.
Go ahead. You can add them if they want to join.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So that happened. I actually thought that was a lady. That's why I was excited. I did not know. So I would like to have that removed history of this experience. And I think we should go to bed. I think we should all say goodbye now.
No, you're good. Thank you for noticing me, Dolly. I didn't realize I was noticed. Where is this man? Awkward. Yeah. I thought for some reason I thought it was a puppet, but then another thing I was like, is somebody skydiving?
I didn't know what so there was another I don't, of course, a name like that you don't know it all, but there is another young author that I talked to with a similar name, so that's what I thought it was. So
it's okay. This is what fame is, right? This is what it's like being a famous children's book.
I'll you know what? I'll accept it. I'll receive it, but that's it. Oh, I see what's happening. Can we go?
No, you're good. He was just doing the most. Yeah. He was about it. But yeah, we're definitely out. So again, tonight was Crown Fable author by Dahlia Daring. And she has an amazing book catalog. Her first book, which was Worth the Wood. Definitely go out and check her out on Fables. FawnFables.com. Check her out on FawnFables.com and tap in with her, follow her. She has a lot of stuff going on. And until next time, it's been amazing. So I want to thank you all for existing, adding value to the world as well as alive in the podcast. Have a good night. And until tomorrow, blessings.
Bye.